Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 73 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're learning how to think like an engineer using the Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi. What I will need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sunfounder. Sunfounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons. And in this class, we will be using the Sunfounder Elite Explorer Kit. Now, hopefully most of you guys already have your gear, but if you don't, take a look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon and you can hop on over there and pick your kit up. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a whole lot simpler if we are working on identical hardware. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to teach you today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my solution to the homework assignment that I gave you last week. So I must first ask, were you able to do the homework? If you were, add a comment down below. I am legend. Double chest bump. And if you were not successful, leave a comment down below. I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Now, hopefully you didn't have too much trouble because I showed you in last week's lesson how to take that PyQt GUI that we've already developed and to take that and to add slider bars to it. So I got the slider bars going, and then what your assignment was to bring those slider bars to life and connect them to the RGB LED on the Arduino, where you could control the color of the RGB LED on the Arduino by the GUI that is running on your desktop using PyQt over Wi-Fi. Okay, now I will admit there were maybe a few surprises in there and you guys probably ran into them, and hopefully you figured out what some of the little glitches might have been over on the old Arduino side. But we will get to that. Let me get out of your way and let's jump over here. And what I need you guys to do is I want to start where we left off last week, where we had the functioning PyQt GUI working with the Arduino for blinking and toggling the LEDs different colors. But now we've added the slider bars. Now you and I today are going to bring those slider bars to life. But let's start today with where we left off last week. So you're going to come to TopTechBoy.com. You're going to search on something like adding slider bars to your PyQt Arduino project. Use this happy little search icon. You'll be here in no time. This is just a reminder of the circuit that we're using. RGB LED connected to pins 9, 10, and 11. We're using 1000 ohm resistors as current limiting resistors, and we have the old breadbolt over here powering up our project. Now, this first set of code is the server side code for the Arduino. So we're going to click that little double icon there to snag that code. And then we'll come here and we will paste it into our Arduino IDE. And just a reminder that we have to have this secrets file, secrets.h. You get that by coming and saying new tab. You need to then name it secrets.h, and then you will also need to go to your secrets.h and you need to put in your login credentials for your Wi-Fi. And let's see here, those I thought I'd put them here, but just go back to like the previous lesson, which you can search on PyQt graphical user interface. And then if you come down here, you will find this secrets.h file. You'll just grab that and then you will come over here, and in the secrets.h tab, you will paste that using your Wi-Fi name and your password. Okay, so now let's go ahead and also start with the let's also start with the correct client code on Thani. And so we'll come over here and I'll just start up a new I'll start up a new Thonny, and then we're going to go back to www.toptechboy.com, and we're going to come back to the adding slider bars to your PyQt Arduino project, and you'll come down here to the client code. So we'll get that client code. We'll come over here and we'll put that client code in. Now let's just make sure that the world is in proper working order, and let's make sure that these two things run nicely together and play nicely together. And so I'll start by coming to the Arduino, the server side, and let's download that, make sure that that downloads into the Arduino properly. Looking like it's pretty happy, Okay. And then it looks like it's actually running. UDP started on port 12345. That looks good. And then I need to make sure that I'm using this IP address over here on the client side. Because sometimes my IP address changes. Yeah, I got 120 there. Now we've got the server running. It looked like it was connected. Let's run the client. And here is the client, and then we can adjust these slider bars, and you can see that it adjusts the values, okay, and it adjusts the labels. So this is all working here, so we're kind of back to where we were. But now what we need to do is we need to connect these slider bars over to the Arduino so that they actually do something. So I think the best place for us to start is with the server code. Okay, now what you probably are realizing is you are probably realizing that where we were doing digital writes, we need to change everything to an analog write. Even if you were thinking, well, toggle on, toggle off, I'll just leave those full brightness, then what you're going to find is, or what maybe you did find is, if you're doing digital writes on the Arduino R4, once you do an analog write, the digital write command breaks. So if you do an analog write and then try to do a digital write, the digital write command does not crash the program, but it doesn't work. So if you were getting anomalous and unexpected results, that's what happened. Also, really, if you think if we're setting the brightness with the slider bar, if we click toggle on, we want toggle on to respect the brightness that was set by the toggle bar, by the slider bar. And similarly, if we're going to blink, that blink program should respect the brightness that was set by the slider bar. So what does that mean? That means all of those analog writes, all those digital writes need to be replaced with analog writes. Okay, so let's come down here and look. We've got our pins set up. That's good. We're doing our void setup. That's all good. The void setup looks good. We come down here and we got the split string function. That should still be good. Okay, now it's in this void loop. Now I'm going to adjust the server knowing what I'm going to do on the client side. All of those commands that I send from the client side, I'm going to tag on to the end of the command the brightness. Okay, I'm going to tag on the end of those the brightness. So every one of these analog writes, I need to take advantage of that extra data packet that is on our data string. And so let me show you how that is done. So let's just come down to, what is the first one? Red blink. Okay, in red blink here, we did a digital write. We did a digital write red pin high. Well, what we need to do is we need to make that an analog write, and instead of going high, we need to use that new data snippet that's on the command. And so what would that be? The string array that we already have. There's just something new on it, and that something new is going to be the brightness, which is in spot 3. And then remember, that is going to be a number that is a string. We need to convert that string number to int, like that, and then like that. Now remember the 0 thing, I think the 0 thing was the something like red blink, okay? And then the first thing was how long the blink should be, and the next thing was like how many blinks. And now the fourth thing, which will be the 3 index in the array, will be the brightness. So you see this 2 was the delay, 1 was the number of blinks, 1 was the number of blinks. 1 was the number of blinks, and then 2 was the delay, and now 3 is the brightness. Okay, so now that should work. Now I think we're probably going to use this several times, and so I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Okay, and so now where we have a digital write, we're going to put that in again there, and then this digital write should be a what? Analog write. Okay. Now I want to be careful. I get in a hurry in these things. Now this is going to be the same thing, only it's green blink. All right. And so digital write becomes analog write. And then this high becomes that data for brightness. And digital becomes analog. And then this will again be a value instead of a high or a low. That looks good. Now we come here and we are doing a digital write, which is going to be a analog write. And what are we going to analog write? I'm going to do this analog. And now I'm going to come back over here, and the value is going to be Control V, and the value is going to be Control V. Now that is the red, the green, and the blue. Now we got to be careful about making it 3 every time, because that brightness might not be 3 every time. It depends on what the function is. Now we've got red on and we've got red off. Well, similarly, this is the toggle. We want to go analog, and we want to go analog. But this data snippet, remember, it only had 1, the 0 position. That's all it had. So then this brightness is going to be where? It's going to be in the 1 position. And this brightness is going to be in the 1 position. Okay. And so that is red. Well, and analog, and it should be here. Okay. So analog, analog, and then this one is going to be analog and analog, and then we're putting in our string arrays of 1, okay, and now this one is going to be string array of 1. This one is going to be string array of 1. And now we're going to make this analog, and we're going to make this analog like that. Okay, so I think we've got the red, the green, and the blue, right? That looks good. And then okay, yeah, that looks good. So then this ends the if, and then this ends the whole like, not the void loop, but you've got data. Okay, so we want to do this still in there where you've got data. But now what we want to do is now we want to bring in those slider bars. Okay, and so what those slider bars are going to do is we are gonna do an if, and so this is, you'll get this command from the slider bar. So if string array of 0 is equal to red bright, and I'm anticipating that the command coming from the slider bar is going to be called red bright. Okay, so I'm anticipating that. We haven't done that yet, right? We haven't done that yet. So what do we want to do? What do we want to do in that case? What we're going to do is we are going to say analog right to where the red pin, and then what string array of 1, because all it's going to have is the command from the slider bar is going to be called the red bright, and then the next one, the 1th one, is going to be the brightness, and then our friend to int open close like that. Okay, so if it's red bright, then we do that. Do we do anything else? Yeah, let's just print to kind of help us out here. So I'm going to do a serial.println, and then I'm going to print this string array just to kind of see what it is, help us debug perhaps. Okay, so that'll give us that brightness number just to kind of help us. All right, so now that is red bright. Let's do that same thing with green bright and blue bright. So we're going to come in here and we're going to paste, and if it is blue bright, it'll be the same thing, except what? Blue pin. And then here it is going to be, I forgot to do green. I hate doing things in the wrong order, so this is going to be green because I always go red, green, blue. Green. And now our friend Mr. Blue. And then this will be the blue pin. And then all that should be the same. Now let's run this. Man, I hate this because I had to do a whole lot of stuff here. What is that? What is that? Serial print line. Who is your friend? Who is your friend? Mr. Semicolon. Mr. Semicolon. Man, I'm dying by the copying and pasting. Huh? It's very hard to be going back and forth between Python, and Arduino with all these little syntax things. Okay, let's try it now. I'd forgotten Mr. Semicolon. But it's really hard to have to do that much change to the server before you've really been able to test it out. So there's no errors as far as typos, but is it actually going to work? Well, it's going to be fun debugging this, because when things don't work, was it a problem on the server side or was it a problem on the client side? But let's come over to the client side and let's figure out what we're going to need to do over here on the client side. So we're going to start up at the top, and we're going to first of all realize that we've got something new this time around. Before, I was always turning the LED on or off, but now we've got this brightness idea. So I'm going to say red stringtha is equal to 255, green stringtha that is one of the hardest things to spell, is equal to 255, and blue stringtha is equal to 255, like that. So now when the program starts, when I'm sending it that brightness value, it'll have some values to start with. Okay, now this is all good stuff to get these widgets set up. Right, this gets these widgets set up, but things are going to change on all of these functions. Okay, things are going to change on all of these functions, and what I'm going to have here is I'm going to have red blink. Okay, the command 5 the number of times, 100 the number of milliseconds. Okay, but then here I need to put my colon, and then I need to concatenate that. Now I need to close the string, and I need to concatenate that with the string value of red stringtha. Okay, like that. And then I need to concatenate that with this. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Now I think I am going to take this. No, I'm not. yeah, I'm going to take this, and then I will on the, now the green, the command again is going to be this time green blink, and this time green strength, like that. Then I'm going to come down to the blue push button, or the blue blink, that is, okay, and this will be blue blinked and blue strength, like that. Okay, so now those first three buttons have been modified, I think, as they need to have them work. Now that was the blinking. Now we need to come down to the toggles. And so let's come down to the toggle switches. And on the toggle switches, what we are going to have is where we just had red on and then the /n. Well, we're going to have red on colon, close it, and then concatenate with the string value of red strength, and then concatenated with the in character. Okay, now the next two should be very similar to this, very similar to this. So that's toggle red. Now let's go to, but what if not checked? We've also got red off. Let's do that, and this would be red off, like that, and otherwise that will be the same. Okay, now we're going to come down to the green toggle, and similarly this one's going to be like this, but this is going to be green on, and this is going to be green strength, like that. That looks good. And now we have to see if not checked. Remember, this is going to be green off this time. So this will be green off, and then this will be green strength. Okay, now I'd just like to see, yep, we're in toggle green. Now we're going to go down to toggle blue, and this is going to be blue on. So instead of red on, this will be blue on, and this will be blue strength. And then when we come down here to the not checked, this is going to be blue off, OFF, and then this is going to be blue strength. Okay, I hope this makes sense what we're doing. Okay, I don't know if this is going to run or not. Well, on the slider I have the red strength global, that's good, but I actually calculate the red strength. So the sliders are not going to, the sliders might actually do a little bit now. So let's come over here and let's run this and just see what, hey, blue off, unexpected indent in line 185. Yep, that definitely. Do is I want to run the client, and then I want to be looking at the server, and I want to bring this over here, and it says that we are connected. So let's just see if I do a red toggle. It says red on with a strength of 255. That looks good. And then red off. That looks good. Red on, red off. That's kind of expected. Green on, and then green off doesn't want to go. So green on and green off, but green doesn't go off. And then toggle blue. Toggle blue, blue doesn't want to go off. So these things somehow are not going off. And so now we've got to see on the client side, are we really sending these values? Are we really sending these values? I think I know what is happening. I think I know what is happening. So it's that red strength is 255, and those second values should be 0 on the client, right? The second values, the off value should be 0 on the client. And I think that was my logical error. I was always making it a strength, but on a blink it's not going to be a strength. So let's come back over, and hopefully you guys had seen that when I did that. But now we're going to need to kind of start at the top and find all those off values. So when we're coming down to the push button, and then we say command red blink is going to be on, okay? If push button is clicked, it's going to be on. And then what would make that go off? Okay, this is going to tell it to go 5 times 100. So let's make sure on the client, on the server side, that we just make that 0 over on the server side when we're writing that, because here it's not going to do that. Here it is just sending it this. So over on the server side, on these blinks up here, on these blinks where we say on the blink, we're going to, on the second one, this is the off. So that needs to just be a 0. So we go for the brightness on the on, and then on the off, we go to 0. The brightness on the on goes to the brightness, and the brightness on the second one goes to a 0. And then here we are going to go to the brightness, and then on the second one, we're going to go to 0. Right? So this is going to be on for the brightness, and then off, and then on for the brightness, and then off. Okay, now for red off here as well, we're going to put a 0. Well, let's go back and see on the toggle. Let's see what we did on the toggle. Okay, push button green, those I think we fixed, but now let's look at that toggle. Okay, the on would want this, okay, but if we're going to turn it off, off is always going to be a 0, so we're going to send it a 0 for the off, right? Like that. Okay, and now let's go to green toggle. Okay, for the on, that's good. But for the off, that is always going to be a 0. And now for the blue, on is going to be the strength, the blue strength, and the off we're going to send over a 0, like that. Let's see if that cleaned this up a little bit. Let's see if we run this again. Let's see if that cleans this up. Okay, let's just see if we can toggle. I'm going to reset this because I had the client already running, and I like to always start with the server. All right, so now let's come over here. So let's toggle red. Red comes on, and then red goes off. Green comes on, green goes off. Blue comes on, blue goes off. Red blink, and still. Red isn't blinking. So let's see if I can toggle it off. Nah, I seem to have kind of broke it. So let's hit the reset, run this again. So the toggle is still not working, so let's try it again. Okay, so toggle, let's try toggle green. Green comes on, and we sent green 255, and then toggle off, we sent green 0. So that's working. Green is toggling on and off. Blue came on, and blue went off, so that's good. Toggle red, red comes on, red goes off. That's interesting. Those are working. Okay, those are working. Now let's try red blink. Red blink was not happy. And then green blink is not happy. Okay, so on the red blink, green blink, blue blink, it's not turning off. It is just staying on. So let's go look at those things. I thought on the other side we were setting those to 0 on the client side. I mean on the server side. So let's come back to the server. Let's make sure that we put this in. Because what we want to do on all these blinks, we want to put in a 0, right? So we say analog write blue pin 0 on the on and off, okay? And so now that is going, let's run this. I really think that blink should work. All right, so let's try this. Red blink, yep, that is working. Green blink, that is working. Blue blink, that is working. Maybe I just forgot to download the code. Red on, and now that is broken. So the red isn't wanting to turn off. The other ones are, but you see toggle red isn't turning off. Now, if you look, it's sending for toggle on 255, that's good. And it's sending for toggle off, it's sending a 0. So it must be over here. It must be over here on the server side. So that was the toggle. And so we're going to come down here. This is the blink. And then this is the blink for green. This is the blink for blue. And now we say if string array is red on, we turn it on. If it is red off, we're going to set that to 0. Okay, like we did. Okay, so green on, green off. We're going to set that to 0. And then blue off, we're going to set that to 0. All right, so now let's run that. Now, I thought that I'd sent it right over on the client side. Okay, that looks good. Let's come here. Okay, so let's run this. Hopefully you guys are following what I'm trying to do here. So let's try this. Red blink, it's happy. Green blink, it's happy. Blue blink, it's happy. Red on, we got the 255. Red off is off. On is on, off is off. Toggle green, toggle green, toggle blue, toggle blue. Okay, so we've got all that working. Let's make sure that the blinks still work after all that. Yeah. Okay, now I think when we do the slider bar, I'm not sure that we might have to go in there and do a little bit more, but let me turn red on, and then I'm going to start sliding this slider bar. And what you can see is that the red strength is coming down. The red strength is coming down. Okay, but I'm not sending that over to the Arduino. You see, these are doing the things we want them to, but it's just not sending anything over there. It's just updating the value. So what do we need to do? We need to come in and we need to go down to the slider bar. Okay, we need to go down to the slider bar. So here is our red slider, and right now we are creating, let's see, where is the slider bar? There is the slider bar. Okay, so I am creating, I'm saying print the red strength, which is good, but now I need to do the command, and the command is going to be red bright, and then I'm going to concatenate that with what? With the string value of red strength Okay, and then I'm going to concatenate that with our /n like that. Okay. All right, so now I've created it. Now I need to encode it. CMD encoded is equal to cmd.encode like that. Okay, and then I need to do a mySocket.send to, what am I sending? The command encoded to what? To the host and the port. Close, close. So I send it. Now I have to try. And what I'm going to try, I'm going to try to get a response from the server address, which is equal to my socket.receive from 1024. I probably could have copied this from one of the things up there and then print server response and then response.decode like that. Okay. Now, let's just see if the red will work. Now, let's see if that kind of brings that red slider bar to life. Let's reset the server there. Now, let's run this red slider. In line 220, I didn't touch that object. It doesn't like this. Print server response. Response.decode. I've got a bum. If you do a try, you better do an accept like that. Print no response from the server for timeout. Make that a string. Make that a string. Okay, now let's run it. Okay, so now let's come over here and now let's say red blink and that's happy. Red toggle on, red toggle off. Let's turn red on and now let's see if we can dim it. And boom, red is alive. Look at that. Okay, now I'm gonna let's turn it real low, like where you're barely seeing it. And now let me turn it off, and it went on. And you see this top part, this red toggle is respecting the red value that is set on the slider. And now let's see red blink, same way it's respecting it. So let's set the green here to something. Green's not going to work because we haven't set green up yet in the client. So now let's kill this, and now we're going to copy and paste like a madman. So on red slider, the first thing we did was the CMD, right? So we're going to go CMD through the accept, and we are going to copy, and then we're going to come down to the green slider function. We're going to paste it there. And then we're going to change all of our reds to green. What did I do there? That said green strength already. That was a... I think I copied red slider, red strength. Now I am very confused. How did I get that? Okay, so command red bright, red strength on the slider. Now I come down here and print green strength, and then print, I don't know. Something happened funny there, but I'll go on. It might have been an error from earlier in the code. Okay. That's all good. And now we're going to come to blue. All right, and then this is going to be paste. And now this command is going to be blue, and this command is going to be blue, like that. All right. Now let's run this thing and see what happens. All right. So now red blink works, green blink works, blue blink works, toggle red on, toggle red off, toggle green on, toggle green off, toggle blue on, toggle blue off. Now, let's see if it will respect the green slider bar. And it is coming down, and it is dimming to oblivion. Do you see that? Dimming to oblivion. Almost oblivion. It says green strength is 0, but it doesn't seem to be going there. Okay, green strength is 0. You know, somehow we didn't do a toInt on those, and those could be confusing it. All of those need to be a toInt, and somehow we didn't do a toInt on all of those. And so I think that's why we are getting strange results. So let's come back and let's see here. Let's stop this and let's come over here. And everything is showing a toInt over on this side. toInt, toInt, blue pin 0, toInt, toInt, toInt. But I think we need to send it as a int as well. And so when we are creating these blue strings, this needs to be an int of that. Okay, so when we are creating those, we need to create them as integers as well. Okay, so we say green strength is equal to the integer of that, and then here we'll turn that to an int, and that way those sliders should only be generating ints. Okay, and then they're converted to ints on the other side. All right, so let's look here and let's play with that red and see what happens. Okay, we're going to get that red, and it comes down to practically off, but why is it not going all the way off? Okay, so one thing is it's not getting the response back, so I'm going too fast. So let me reset that. Okay. So now we're getting no response from the server. Okay, on the client side, did we send a response back? Maybe that is the issue. On the server side, did we send a response? It should have all been up here right when we did the read, right? Yeah, we send it up here, so that should be good. So for some reason with that slider bar, it's not getting the response. So let's make sure and look over here. And so we're on update red slider, right? And what we're doing is we say send to encoded host port. And then what do we try to do? We try to get a response from the server address my socket dot receive from 1024. Except socket time out, like that. Let's see if that makes a difference. I think I had a little error there. There might be something else in here causing that problem as well. But let's see now, if I just toggle red, I'm getting a response back. If I come down here, my socket, what is that in 217? My socket would also be the error there. So that typo was causing all of this. But luckily we found it pretty easily. So now we're coming down and look, we have perfect integers. We're getting a response back from the server and we can turn it all the way off. Okay, so that's looking good. Bring it up. Okay, now we can toggle the red and it will toggle it back off. Let's play with the green. The green is also getting no response from the server because we've got this same error here. So I'm just going to take the try and accept, because that should be exactly the same on the green, because there's no color in there, and then on the blue, because there's no color in there. And now let's run this. Okay, so let's see here. Let's bring this over here. Now, red blink, green blink, blue blink, toggle red, toggle red, toggle green, toggle green, toggle blue, and then let's bring this red down all the way to 0 and back up. Now let's see if we can toggle it off. Yep. And now the green comes down to 0, comes back up, and then we can toggle green, and then the blue is not alive. The blue is not alive. Now it's getting a response back from the server. Okay, it's getting a response back from the server. So what do we do on blue? Okay, we have blue bright. How about blue bright? Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay. Let's see if we can bring blue to life. Okay, blue down to nothing, blue up to full. That looks good. Now let's just try toggling blue off. That works. Now the green down, the red down. Toggle green off. Off you, green. Red up and down. The green down and up. And the blue down and up. Now let's see if we can get a purple. So I'm going to take blue and then I'm going to bring in a little bit of red. And then I'm going to bring in red. I got too much blue, and you see how we're getting that beautiful magenta there. And now let's see if we can get a beautiful aqua by bringing in some green, and there we've got a beautiful aqua. All right, guys. Hey, we got this done. We had a few glitches along the way. This was a lot of copying and pasting, but hopefully you could kind of see what we were doing. And really, I think the really important thing that I wanted to do here was to have these switches up here respect the values that are set on the slider bars. You see, so like if I blink blue, it blinks very low. Now, if I blink red, nothing happens because I didn't have any red set. So if I come here and blink red, you see it blinks dim red. So it's actually respecting that. Okay, guys, I am not going to give you a homework today. What I'm going to have you do is just go in and kind of get caught up on things, making sure that you've got the code working like what I have the code. And then next week, I'll show you some more widgets that we can add to our graphical user interface. I'll show you some other features that we can put in here that are pretty useful. Okay, sound good? I hope it does. Man in the water, man overboard. Do you see that? Look at that. I hope he's friendly with the guy in the boat. I hope this isn't, yeah. I think they're fishing partners. So anyway, that was kind of exciting seeing a guy out there swimming. Sometimes when I see them swim, I'm not sure if they're swimming professionally, like as part of their fishing, or if they just enjoy jumping in the water. Okay. Guys, it's at this point that I always want to give a big shout out to you guys that are standing with me on Patreon. It is my Patreon support that allows me to continue to produce this content. Without the Patreon support, I would not be able to continue to bring you quality, fresh lessons every single week. So guys, really thank you for that. You can help this video by giving it a thumbs up and leaving a comment down below. That will help with the old YouTube juice. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. When you do, make sure you ring that bell so that you will get notification when future lessons drop. And most importantly, share this video with other people, because the world needs more people thinking like an engineer and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.